Hello everybody, welcome to a World of Warship Blitz video, and today's video we are going to be talking about, I'm going to be doing a series. I've done a Bismarck or Tirpitz, which is better, and in light of the fact that there's a free and a non-free way to play the game, I thought I'd compare ships that were similar, the free versus the premium version, just where the ships are really similar. So we're going to start with the ship that's playing on the screen at the moment, which is the Brooklyn versus the Helena. So the Brooklyn and the Helena are Tier 7 US Navy light cruisers. They are of the same class. The Brooklyn, or similar class basically. If you look at their stats, actually it says different classes, but for all intents and purposes they're pretty much the same. So they have pretty much the same hit points, about 230 hit points worth of difference, same armor protection, the same performance. The Helena may turn a 0.3 of a degree faster than the Brooklyn. They have, most importantly, the same guns, except that the Brooklyn fires 0.32 kilometers further than the Helena, but it does the same damage and it has the same reload time and the same turret traverse. Well, not exactly the same turret traverse. The Helena's got slightly faster. But I mean, essentially from the point of view of playing the games, you'll pretty much feel like you're playing the same ship. They look very similar and the differences are very minor. The Brooklyn, of course, is the tech tree ship. So it's on the tech tree line, whereas the Helena is a premium ship that is occasionally for sale. I don't think I've seen it available for gold, and the one that I've got came from some sort of event from memory. That's pretty scary, isn't it? Anyway, so with the Brooklyn, the other major difference is in what they come equipped with. The Brooklyn comes with an air defense alert, or 3 air defense alert 1 and 2 sonar 1s. And those sonar 1s, the air defense alert just makes the already incredible air defense even better. But the sonar goes for 25 seconds, detecting all hostile ships within 3.75 kilometers with a 90-second cooldown. Good for detecting close-by destroyers and incoming torpedoes. The Helena, on the other hand, has the air defense 2 air defense alert 1 instead of 3, and 2 radar 1, and a radar 1 runs for 10 seconds rather than 25 seconds, and it detects all hostile ships within a 7.2 kilometer radius with a cooldown time of 120 seconds, which goes a long way to explain why I have the concealment module on my Helena, which means that my surface detection is 7.45 kilometers, which means that with the radar doing the little trick that it does, it means that if I'm detected, it's not exactly right, but if I'm detected, then I can cook off the radar and pretty soon see what has spotted me. Although the radar, with that incredibly long cooldown, you want to be careful, because the normal use that you have for it is when a destroyer smokes up, you can expose them and your teammates and yourself can deal with them. What do they like to play? Well, personally, having played a few games, or played a game and then a few games of one ship and then the other, the Brooklyn is, well, the sonar is something I'm more used to. The sonar has more immediate applicable uses, if that makes sense. Generally there's destroyers, generally they threaten you, and at that point cooking off a sonar is a good way of letting you know what you have to do in order to manage a torpedo threat. Now, if you do play enough, you become capable of predicting torpedo issues. However, what happens then is, so in a Fiji, for example, I can bait torpedoes, but the Brooklyn's larger, it's a bit slower, it's not as agile, and it doesn't get into the turn quite as fast, and you're not normally ducking and diving when you're moving with it anyway, as much as with, let's say, a Fiji. So it's not an actual torpedo dodger, so that sonar really does help. On the Helena, the radar is excellent for a destroyer that's pretty close to being done, or that tries to use smoke to evade from a tricky situation where they've got themselves, quite exposed or too far forward. It's excellent for that. The radar doesn't really help you at all with torpedoes, although spotting a destroyer means that you've got a fair idea where torpedoes may be coming from. 10 seconds really isn't a very long time. So basically you use it to light up that destroyer that's just smoked up, that you're just about to finish off, and you can deal with them. Or if you're pushing forward into an area, especially if you're in a game with let's say no destroyers on your side and one destroyer on the enemy team, you can use it to spotlight and find out where that destroyer is. The only other advantage of the Helena, apart from those minuscule improvements in some of their stats like turning, is that you can put a commander on it without any penalty. So if you have, let's say, a Worcester or a legendary commander like Thomas Kincaid running around, then you can put them onto the onto the Helena, and you can use them to help improve the statistics of the ship. Something you can't do without penalty in the Brooklyn, because presumably you wouldn't be putting a commander like Thomas Kincaid or in the Brooklyn, and obviously getting them off another ship means that they become bound to that Brooklyn ship. So those are the major differences. Well, there's not really much in the way of differences, just one's premium, one's a standard ship. From the point of view of those free-to-play players, what do you miss out on with the Helena? Not a lot, really. The Brooklyn's a perfectly playable ship. In fact, those Brooklyn players that I've seen people get higher scores in Brooklyns than I've ever seen in the Helena, and I suspect that's because as they ground through the Brooklyn, they got a feel for its guns. Its guns fires very lightweight shells, very floaty shells, and what that means is that you targeting ships at a distance can become a real challenge. So otherwise, the difference itself is actually, when you're in the ships, the difference is very, 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 it's not noticeable, to be fair. So the Brooklyn is a mighty fine ship. It's a bit of a handful or a bit of a struggle, the Dallas especially, and the Brooklyn a little bit afterwards when you're used to, let's say, far more aggressive ships such as the Fiji, or ships with much more effective shells like the Shores. So my assessment, Brooklyn or Helena, sort of interchangeable, really. In battle, the Brooklyn, training up captains with that elite bonus, is the Helena. So I'd put that one down to a draw. Someone who plays the ships quite a lot, if you do, please add a comment, because I think it would be quite good to see what your perspective is if you've got both ships. Anyway, there you go. Ship versus ship. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.